Hello and welcome to another Keto Campers video. My name is Mark and I'm going to be doing this solo today. Julie's not going to be with me. She's actually working her regular job. But I wanted to share some things with you. I just recently completed my annual physical and had my labs drawn. This is the first time any of this has been done since I started on keto a year ago. So I want to share these numbers with you. I want to share what my doctor said about these numbers. I did a podcast on this and I will link it below. So if you want to hear the in-depth version along with some deeper analysis, and I actually linked a couple websites in there where I got some of my information. You may find this very informative. Head on over to the podcast. Like I say, the link will be below and you can scope this out. So anyway, I want to share a brief history with you. In 2014, my cholesterol numbers were really out of whack. So that's when my doctor put me on statins. And I agreed with that. It's not like he forced me to do it. I was, totally on board with, hey, I'm getting old. I eat junk. If I can take a pill that's going to fix me and I can continue eating junk, I'm just going to do that. So that's what we did. Now let me share my 2014 numbers with you and some baselines. So in 2014, my total cholesterol was 227, and they like that number below 200. My HDL, which is the good cholesterol as they refer to it, they like above 40, and my number was 37. My triglycerides, which this is not the number of numbers, but this is one of the numbers that they really look at, and they like that triglyceride number to be below 150, and mine was 341. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, bad. That's pretty high. So then my LDL, which this is the one that they consider the bad cholesterol, they like that number. In 2014, it was below 130. Okay, that's where they wanted it. And I was 122, so not bad. However, my total cholesterol was high, my triglycerides were high, my HDL was low, and that's what prompted my doctor to put me on the statins. Now, I went on actually 2 statin drugs that year. The following year, my numbers were not improved to a significant degree, so I went on a 3rd statin drug. So let's fast forward to 2018. This is last year when I went to the doctor for my physical. My total cholesterol was 163, which he was really happy with because they want it below 200. My LDL was at one of the lowest levels that I've ever had, and that was 34. They like it above 40, 34. My triglycerides were still above 150 at 154, so not tremendously high, but here's the difference. In 2018, they lowered the standard for LDL, the bad cholesterol. They lowered it to 100 instead of 130. It had been 130 before, so I had always been in range. Now they lowered it to 150, so now I was above range on that one too. So I'm not sure why they lowered that number. I don't know if there were studies done. So anyway, let's go ahead and fast forward to 2019 so we can look at my numbers now, and I'll tell you some of the changes that I made. My doctor wanted me to start on metformin, which was for insulin resistance and high glucose, and I'll share those numbers with you here in a minute. But I decided when I started doing my research on the keto lifestyle is that as far as the statins go, the side effects are many, and you can look those up for yourself. And I decided that I didn't want to deal with the side effects. Kind of my state of mind was that the cure may be worse than the disease. So I stopped the statins when I started keto, so a year ago. So let me share my cholesterol lab numbers with you as of this year, and you will see that my numbers changed quite a bit. So my total cholesterol went way up, 343. Now, in my research of keto, this seems to be 100% normal, that the total cholesterol goes up. The HDL cholesterol for the first time in 6 years was above 140, and this was without drugs at 49. The triglycerides, which they want below 150, for the first time ever was within range, and not only within range, incredibly within range at 68. They want it below 150, it was 68. And that's with no medications. That's just keto doing that. My LDL, which they want below 100, prepare yourselves for this, 277. Woo! That seems terrible, doesn't it? Well, there's some science behind that, and in my podcast, I reference some of the science and a little bit more about what LDL means, but for the video, I'm not going to go into a bunch of detail. So one of the other tests that I requested get done was an HSCRP, and what this is it's a C-reactive protein test, and what this measures is inflammation in your body. Okay, inflammation, as everybody is probably familiar, is your body's reaction to injury. If you twist your ankle's going to swell up. If you jam your finger, your knuckle's going to swell up. If you cut yourself or get an infection or whatever, that area is going to swell up. This is how your body reacts, and this is one of the mechanisms it uses to repair itself. So if you have a high C-reactive protein level, that means that you have systemic inflammation. Okay, so the number they want is 1 or below. 1.0 or below is the number they want for the C-reactive protein. Well, my number was 1.2. Which what 1.2 translates out to is a lower relative cardiac risk. Okay, because this inflammation contributes tremendously to arteriosclerosis, which is a disease of your coronary arteries. So whereas my LDL number would indicate a higher risk of heart disease, my C-reactive protein and inflammation number would seem to indicate a lower risk of heart disease. So my C-reactive protein was 1.2, and they wanted it 1. So I was totally happy with that. Now let's go with fasting insulin. Last year, 2018, was the first time that my doctor checked my fasting insulin, which, as I've done my research, this is a really important number, and if you are looking at combating insulin resistance, this is probably one of the things that you should have checked. So just ask your doctor. It doesn't seem like it would be a big deal for him to add that in there. So fasting insulin, I'm not sure what units these are measured in, but they want it between 2.0 and 19.6, which seems like a pretty broad spread to me, but I don't know. I'd have to do more research on that to tell for sure. Last year, my number was 21.2. Okay, the upper limit they want for fasting insulin is 19.6. So what this indicated was that I had severe insulin resistance. Okay, insulin resistance is just like resistance to anything else. If you take a medication for a long time, a lot of times they have to raise the dosage because your body becomes accustomed to it and it's not as effective anymore. And that's what's happening with insulin resistance. Blood sugar levels are high. Your body continues to raise insulin to combat that. Your cells become resistant to the message the insulin's sending to use blood sugar. So your body produces more and more insulin. Insulin stores fat. It's a fat storing hormone. It won't allow your body to utilize the fat that is stored on it. So high insulin level is indicative of a disease process that should be reversed, one way or the other. Well, my doctor's solution to reversing it was metformin, which is a drug that lowers your blood sugar. If you have lower blood sugar, you're going to have lower insulin, and it should do something to improve insulin resistance. Well, I was not willing to go on another medication. I was already taking 3 statins, and now I was going to be taking something for insulin resistance and blood sugar. And I just was not willing to do that. And that's when I started researching and found the ketogenic lifestyle and decided to give that a try. So let's see if it's working. Fasting insulin 2018 was 21.2. Remember, the range is between 2 and 19. This year, with no metformin, no other changes except a diet change and no statins, so I quit taking all those meds. This year, my fasting insulin was 7.5. So it went from 21.2 a year ago, without medications and diet only, it went to 7.5, which still the number is, I don't know, maybe a little bit high. The lower number is 2. Maybe this is exactly where it needs to be. But what I'm seeing here is healing happening. What I'm seeing here is improvement happening. Yes, my total cholesterol is up. My LDL is up. But my inflammation is down. My fasting insulin is down. And that's going to bring us to the very last number I want to share with you. And this is the A1C. Now, an A1C is an average blood sugar level over a 90-day-ish period. From my research, what I've found is that red blood cells, which carry sugar throughout the body, live for about 90 days. So you have, we're going to call them old red blood cells that are 90 days old and are going to be dead in 2 hours. And then you have young red blood cells, which are 2 hours old and are going to live for 90 days. What this does is it measures the average blood sugar throughout a sample of red blood cells. So you're getting blood sugar from old ones, blood sugar from new ones, and that's why it gives you an average. And because they live for 90 days, that gives you a 3-month average blood sugar. So the number they like is below 5.7. 5.7 gives you a blood glucose of 117 average. Okay, that's really not terrible. Diabetics, type 2 diabetics are up in the 10 to 12 range, maybe higher. I never got that high. The disease process just didn't have enough time to progress to that level. The highest I ever had was 6, and that's probably a blood sugar of maybe around 120, 122. My A1C this year was 5.3, and that's with no medications. That's just eating a keto diet. Okay, I don't really like calling it a keto diet because it's really a lifestyle. If you go all in and you buy into what keto's about, it's a lifestyle. There's more that you do than just a way of eating. So anyway, this was a hopefully short-ish video. I just wanted to share the results of my doctor's visit. I wanted to share my labs, and really, I am very happy with the improvements that have been made. I'm not really concerned about the numbers that went the wrong direction according to conventional medical thinking. So I'm going to stay with where I'm at now. I'm going to share another video here in a month or so. I went and had a coronary artery calcium scan. What this does is it measures the amount of calcification in your coronary arteries, which is really probably the foremost indicator of heart disease. A 0 is where you want to be. 1,000 is where you really don't want to be. And anywhere in between is some level of heart disease. So we'll see where that number comes up. I'm not super confident because I was insulin resistant for so long. I mean, I worked on getting myself sick for 30 years, so there's really no telling where that number is going to be. I've only worked on getting myself healthy for a year. I've made some really awesome strides, but I don't. Rome wasn't built in a day. Let's go with that. So I am just going to continue with what I'm doing. I'm seeing healing. I'm feeling better. And so we're just going to continue doing what we're doing. We're going to be making some more videos with camping stuff and cooking stuff and keto stuff. And we'd really love to have you guys come along for this journey. If you found this video helpful, I'd love you to give it a thumbs up. If you have comments or questions, please put them below, and I will take a look at all that. Also, if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe. We're kind of getting off the ground here, and we could really use some help and encouragement. And if you click the notification, whenever we download something, you will be notified on your phone, so you can scope it out and see what we're all about that week. But I want to thank you for watching. My name is Mark, and I am with the Keto Campers, and I want to share something with you real quick. These are, that's right, sporting the Keto Camper shirt with the logo. This website right here is not quite ready for prime time, but we're going to get it ready for prime time. So thanks for joining in, and we'll see you next time.